Man, oh man, what a crazy, wild weekend of football last weekend. Oh, Lord. uh, some good bets and some not so good bets, man. I tell you what, it is getting to be downright sad for some of these teams. And we all know injuries play a big factor and all that stuff, but holy crap. And I've got an opinion or two on a lot of these things. First and foremost, thanks for watching, of course, for tuning in, giving the channel a shot. If you like the content, all that good stuff, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. I am paired here on YouTube and Rumble. I have my channel paired over there too, trying to spread the I guess the area net on platforms. So anyway, this Chiefs Dolphins game, man, which probably should have been like one of the top. I mean, it probably was. Game wise, it definitely wasn't the way that it turned out. The tease that I did, I think the line was at what, 3? So the tease for that was obviously good, but the line itself, I mean, unless you took the Chiefs -3, I think that's what it was, or was it -7? I can't even remember at this point. But everybody was expecting one of those high-scoring affairs, and like this right here, this game right here, and just, in my opinion, shows that we just need to stop this. We just need to stop this shit. We need to stop with these foreign games, like going over to Europe, like flying all the way to frickin' Germany, just to play a football game in the regular season. Having teams go to London all the time. I mean, the only team that really benefits there are the Jaguars, because they go there twice a freaking year practically. So they pretty much already have, like, sublets there for when they show up. I think this just needs to stop at this point, because, I think traveling on the road is hard enough for teams in the NFL. Like here in the States, going from the West Coast to East Coast, southeast to like to the north, and vice versa. Playing in a dome and then going and playing outdoors in cold weather, like all this stuff like matters. The timing of the games, the timing of your last game to the next week's game, depending on where, like traveling and all that stuff. If you've got 2 away games in a row, all of this stuff matters. And then you throw in international travel on top of that, and organizations having to make that decision. Oh, well, if we show up early enough, we'll be all right. Well, obviously that didn't work out well for the Dolphins because, and I'm just going to say it, they looked like absolute shit. And they were there at the beginning of the week. The Chiefs strolled in there, like a kid who's an hour and a half late for his lecture in college, and the defense didn't seem to miss a beat. The offense, I think 14 of their points were scored in the first quarter, or first half rather, but the 7 of them was because of that stupid fumble recovery for a touchdown. And I blame that all on the play call. Like when you're down 14-0 and you're trying to, in the last seconds of the first half, trying to get some points on the board. Why on God's green earth are you going to run a screen to Tyreek Hill when you're at the 50-yard line? What kind of sense does that make? And then ultimately it resulted in a fumble recovery for a touchdown. So I'm not a fan of wide receiver screens. Sometimes, yes, you can get a big play, but man, I mean, I feel like more times than not, there are some teams that do it really well, but I feel like more times than not, you're just setting yourself up for disaster. And I feel like that was one of those times where calling that type of play in that situation where you're playing was a bad idea all the way around. So, I mean, this is just me saying, like, sure, it's fun to get up at 9:30 in the morning and crack a beer and watch it and have an excuse to crack a beer if you're married. If you're single, who cares? You know, no one's going to stop you. But, uh, and have and watching a game at 9:30 in the morning. But when the game is a dysfunctional mess, like from front to back, like who, there's no fun. Like you're not really having fun. You're just sitting there criticizing the game the entire time, you know. And I think it's just time to stop the charade. If Europe wants football, bring NFL Europe back. You know, like have it be an extension of the XFL or something like that. You know, like this is just getting ridiculous, man. Because there are clearly very glaring disadvantages on both sides. I mean, and 9 times out of 10, you get a sloppy ass game, or you get a completely one-sided game, which this almost was. So, that's my mini rant here. I think this stupidity needs to stop. You know, it was cute for like maybe a year, but now it's just now like I think, especially this coming this coming Sunday, when you have what is it, the Patriots and the Colts playing in Germany. I am praying that game to be just an absolute shit show, so that way people can say, okay, enough of this overseas crap. It's not benefiting anybody. You know, yeah, sure. We have some European fans, but I wonder how many of those people that are going to these games are like deployed soldiers who are so bored that they like take the train to Germany or something like that on their time off. You know, because we have military bases all over Europe still. So I mean, if I was a soldier and I had downtime Sunday into Monday, heck, that's what I do. I get up early in the morning and take a train out to wherever I need to go, and hang out the entire day. But that's beside the point. Point is, I think this just needs to stop, and that's pretty much my entire opinion on that Chiefs Dolphins game. The Vikings, who everybody had pretty much written off after Cousins went down. How about Joshua Dobbs, the Rocketeer? The rocket scientist, coming in and leading the Vikings to a 31-28. I guess you could call it an upset win. That was impressive. The Falcons, I mean, pretty good offensive points scored. I didn't really catch the whole game, but that was overall a really entertaining game to watch. From the highlights I saw of the final drive for Dobbs. So good on him. Saints Bears. Everybody's saying that you just need to. Tyson Bagent is over. It's time to be done with Tyson. I was like, one, the dude's a rookie. 2, I think he came from a Division II school. I think, and 3, they were only down a touchdown. It's not like they got throttled like 24-0 or 24-3. Yeah, he turned the ball over 3 times. Rookies will do rookie things, okay? It wasn't like he was Nathan Peterman and threw like 5 or 6 interceptions, like in his first start, So I think Bagent honestly is an interesting player, and I think he deserves more playing time, especially if Fields ain't ready to go. I know the organization desperately wants to see more of Justin Fields to find out if they really need to invest long term in him or not. And as far as the Saints go, man, I give up betting on the Saints. I really do. I don't even think I touched this game. I don't even remember. Rams Packers, boy. This just goes to the show that you really, really need to pay attention to things. Since I am not a diehard Rams fan, and I haven't been following the Rams since the preseason, I did not know that Stetson Bennett was away from the team and was probably not going to be with the team at all this year due to some personal issues. What does that mean? Who knows? But that's why Brett Rippon got the start, and Brett Rippon continued to start throughout the entire game despite looking awful. And that is why the Rams have gone out and signed Carson Wentz going into the bye week. So no, undoubtedly he's going to start, and boy, will that be interesting. There is a chance Stafford is back after the bye week, and I would not be surprised. Well, it's like a double-edged sword. I wouldn't be surprised if they sat Stafford longer, or if they, just to keep him as healthy as possible. I don't know, but that was a disaster. And personally, outside of the defense just taking care of business, the Packers didn't look that convincing in that win on offense. So yeah, that was definitely like a unimpressive 20-3 win. Commanders Patriots, that was just interesting all the way around. The Patriots continue to demonstrate how they are a dumpster fire and can't get things right. And Sam Howell is looking more and more like a serious starting quarterback. And I knew this was going to happen. Everybody was writing off the Commanders after trading away Chase Young and Montez Sweat. And they were like, oh, they just traded away their best players on defense. They're giving up. And I said to myself, no way. I said, I bet you the Commanders win this weekend. And sure enough, they did. And I feel bad for Mac Jones. I feel like he deserves a better, more functional coaching staff than what's going on in New England. I would really like to see him in like a different, like a true, like an offense that's true to his talents. I don't think New England is it, and I don't think it will ever be it under Belichick. The Ravens continue to dunk on weak NFC teams here. I got 37-3. It's crazy to think about. They've scored over 30 or more points. So they've scored 67 points in the last 2 weeks while allowing only 9. Pretty crazy. They play the Browns this weekend. We'll get into that in a bit. But the Ravens, again, this is what the Ravens do. They really show out against overmatched opponents, and I feel like they kind of lose their stride, and they always end up falling short either in December or in the playoffs. We'll see what happens. This could be different, but we'll see if the trend continues. Texans, Buccaneers. The Buccaneers continue to show that they have absolutely the worst secondary. In my opinion, it should be the worst secondary in NFL history. I've never seen a secondary play worse than they have played. Even when Tom Brady was there. I mean, it was Tom Brady constantly bailing out the defense. The last great defensive performance that defense had was against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Other than that, they have just been a piss-poor unit. The run defense is fine. It's everything else that sucks on that defense. And that's why I think going forward, whoever the Buccaneers play, start the other quarterback. Start the other quarterback, because they're going to be throwing the ball 30 to 40 times because they won't be able to run the ball against them. Kudos to Stroud and the Texans, I guess, for, throwing through a Swiss cheese defense. Again, I don't know what to make of this team. Either the Texans or the Buccaneers, outside of Stroud, just looks good so far. Browns Cardinals, Deshaun Watson put together an okay game, finally, I guess. It was really the defense that did the work. And the Cardinals have pretty much just sold out. Even though that they're contemplating starting Kyler Murray this week, and everyone's wondering why. Like, why in the world would they do that once they traded away their solid backup and they're clearly in contention for, top picks in the draft? And I'm like, the reason why is because, one, they foolishly, and I called it when it happened, overpaid Kyler Murray. And now they're trying to put him on display to try and bait a team that's desperate for a quarterback to trade for him. And hopefully come to some agreement to where they can take up most of that contract so the Cardinals aren't eating a, metric ton of dead money. So that's why I think they're looking at starting Kyler Murray, and I would do the same thing. I would be like, Kyler, I don't care what you do. Go out there, run around, scramble, chuck the ball down the field, throw some Hail Marys like you did last year, and look good. Look good doing it so we can trade you. You want out of here, too. You didn't even want to – you weren't even sure if you wanted to play for us anymore when you signed this massive contract. That just goes to show that money talks in the end, man. All these players that whine and cry about, I want to be traded. Then as soon as you offer them that fat contract, okay, I'll sign. Yeah, because they know they're going to get paid. Listen, folks, it's all about guaranteed money in the NFL. It's all players need to worry about, man. Because you're never guaranteed. The only guarantee you have is the guaranteed money in your contract. That's it. So you better get that. You better get as much of that as you can before your time is up. Colts, Panthers, there's not a team that I feel more sorry for than the Panthers right now, because it wasn't long ago that they were one of the best teams in the NFL, and the defense was one of the best defenses in the NFL, even when the offense wasn't as good, and now both aren't looking too good right now. And against the Colts, to have the Colts put up 27 points against you, man, that's just rough. Bryce Young turning the ball over 3 times. It's just it's just miserable. And now they play tomorrow night, and they're probably not going to have their best player on defense, Brian Burns. So Raiders, Giants, 2 terrible teams. One proves that they're not as terrible as the other by being able to score on offense. And of course, Daniel Jones is out for the year with an ACL injury. It's so weird. And I was wondering to myself today, I said, what are the odds that the coach of the year last year, Brian Daboll, is fired this year? He went from coach of the year to unemployed in 1 year. That would be interesting. I don't think it's going to happen, but this has been just an absolute disaster. From week 1, this has been a disaster for the Giants. Eagles, Cowboys, again, I have questions for both of these teams. Despite their best efforts, the Eagles continue to play down to their competition, and despite the other team's best efforts, the Cowboys just keep giving the game away to their opponents when it's a real dogfight. Now, don't get me wrong, the Cowboys ultimately, from what I saw in the highlights, outplayed Philadelphia in some key moments, and in the end, they couldn't get away from their own stupidity, and they coughed up the game. I saw that final drive, and it was maddening to watch. And this is the thing about Philadelphia this year. Eventually, you would think a team is going to run out of luck. Or did that already happen with the Jets game, and then that's it? That's the only bad luck they're going to have. Because whether it's a team fumbling the ball an ungodly amount of times, turning the ball over an ungodly amount of times, one team getting penalized the entire night while you did not, or your team's constantly, beating themselves in front of you and giving you the game. I am just so shocked that this just keeps happening, and I am just astounded by the luck that this team has, because there have been quite a few games this year that have just 1 or 2 plays go differently, that outcome is extremely different, and you could be looking at a 5-3 team as opposed to a team with only 1 loss. So that's that. The Bengals look like they're back, I guess. Sans Jamar Chase. We'll see how his back is going into this week. They said he's day-to-day because I saw that landing too. That did not look good. That looked like you could have fractured a bone in your back or a rib or something. That looked really bad. But as far as it didn't look as bad as the Bills did, though. The Bills really looked lost out there. And, a lot of people are saying that the Bills this season haven't even looked as good as their record actually indicates. The Bengals, on the other hand, in some cases look better than their record indicates. Early on in the season, definitely not. And I think it had to do with that calf injury for Burrow, and it looks like it's finally starting to come around. T. Higgins looked like the best receiver on the field that night. So, and I won a single game parlay there. Got me like $110 or something like that. And the problem with these single game parlays, why I'm like never able to talk about them on the videos, is because I always bet them like 20 minutes before the game starts. And I can't live stream on this channel. I can't do anything except make a video. So I'm not going to sit there and go through an entire video trying to put together a same game parlay and then have to edit the video and post it. I mean, that's just not fair to anybody else. So it's like I don't know what to do as far as these go. Because I always wait, and I always wait to see like if there are any like last second like inactives or anything like that, to see if I can maybe get ahead on certain things like injuries and stuff like that. And sometimes it's just a feeling, especially if I base it on how the weekend is going so far. So anyway, Chargers Jets, despite the Chargers playing terribly on offense, they won 27-6. That's all I got to say about that, really. Looking ahead into tomorrow, let's see. We're just going to come straight over here to our good old pals at Action Network. So the line for this game is 3.5. Seems about right. I feel like all the money is definitely going. Well, actually, the spread is going towards the Panthers, which is interesting. The under, obviously, at 38.5. If you're still able to get this, I would jump on it because, I don't know, that line could go down the more and more people are betting on this. I wouldn't be surprised if it is a low-scoring affair. The money line, however, is going hard on the Bears. In this game, I'm just... if I was to bet anything on this game, it would be the under. Part of me is intrigued to possibly tease the Panthers up to 9.5 or even 10.5 and start a teaser tomorrow night. And if I do that, I'll post it in tomorrow's video where I go over my official bets for Thursday. So, and then Friday, Veterans Day observation, I'll be off, so I'll be able to get a video done nice and early. I'll be able to go over a lot more stuff because I won't be time constrained in the evening. So, but yeah, thinking about starting a teaser, probably not as much of a leg as I did last weekend, but I think a 7-point teaser is good. 10.5, I think that's a solid number, especially since a lot of the money is, the percent of the bets, I should say, is going towards this spread. I would be interested in taking a look at that, but definitely the under on points. If it starts getting lower, like closer to 35, I don't see it going to 35. It may go to 37 or 36. Who knows? But everybody is just hammering this under 38.5, and that's probably where I may end up. This has all the markings of just a punt. One team makes a mistake, and maybe even a defensive touchdown. I would not be surprised if you see a defensive touchdown. That could be something worth betting as far as like a scoring prop, like an anytime defensive touchdown. I don't know who you would pick it. Maybe the Bears, but I mean, both quarterbacks are known to turn the ball over a little bit. So, you can, heck, maybe both defenses score. Oh, man. Colts, Patriots, don't really have a dog in this one. Maybe the under. I wouldn't even tease this either way. Probably the under, just based off what we saw last weekend, where it was 21-14, and it was a 35-point total. So definitely I would look at the under. 49ers, Jags. The 49ers at -3. I mean, they're most likely going to be 100% healthy. Debo is coming back. Trent Williams is coming back. McCaffrey's going to be fresh. Purdy is going to, have a clear mind, and Dre Greenlaw is going to be back. They got Chase Young. He's had time to. He's going to get in rotation. They'll probably just throw him in there on passing downs. Tell him just go get him. I think -3 is a very generous line here, and a lot of times when you see them, I know the Jags are ahead and are the top team in the AFC South, but they haven't really played a team as talented as the 49ers yet, as far as like defenses go. And it's despite the secondary. The big question is, can they keep Trevor Lawrence upright against that pass rush? And that's been one of the weaker points of this team for the Jags, has been the offensive line. So I think -3 is definitely a solid number. I would take that, and that would probably be a bet that I would end up taking. Titans, Buccaneers. Like I said, whoever plays the Buccaneers, start the Will Levis. I'm sorry, I can never get the name right. Again, question is, can they stop the pass rush of the Bucs? And my theory is, I think they can, because they weren't great against Pittsburgh, but Will Levis was able to throw the ball. I mean, he got them in position to win the game. He just turned the ball over, And to be fair, at that point, that stage in the game when you got no timeouts and you're pretty much just trying to chuck it into the end zone to get a big play or a penalty, defenses just crowd the end zone, and then if it's short, they come up and make the tackle. So I would not be surprised if the Titans tease on a teaser. This might be the other part of that teaser. +1.5. Give it a 7-point teaser up to 8.5. Cover the spread. I think that's definitely easy. Baker Mayfield could have a better day passing the ball against a weak Titans secondary. Their run defense wasn't that great against Pittsburgh. I think Harris had the Steelers had over 100 yards rushing team total. I know Jalen Warren had 83. Harris, I think, had 67 and a touchdown. So they definitely gashed the Titans running the ball. But the Buccaneers suck at running the ball. So everyone's hammering that over 38. I think there's a real possibility this ends up being like a 28-21, 28-24 type of deal. I think that's entirely possible. Both secondaries are weak. This may be a week, if you're playing fantasy, is to start, one of these quarterbacks in a couple of skill positions. Yeah. Let's see. Browns Ravens +6. This is this is another one that I'm debating on teasing. Not fully decided yet, because this is one of those games where the Ravens would play down. Because I think did they already play this year? I don't even know. I'd have to go back and look. I honestly don't know. I don't feel like looking. I'm sorry, but I feel like it's a rivalry game. This is a game that I feel like that they would play down to. So I think teasing the Browns might be an option. I definitely hammer the under 38.5. I think that's fine. A good percent of the money, or bets, I should say, are coming in on the +6, which is a pretty decent indicator of where everyone thinks this game is going to go. And the Browns' defense has been very good. They have been very good this year. So this is going to be like a real test for that Ravens offense. Texans-Bengals, this is going to be the big test for the Texans. And wow, this line has gone to 6.5. It was at 7. Everybody is taking the Bengals, especially after what they did to the Bills. I think people are reading too much into that game. I think the Bills are just not a very good team right now. They're not playing well. And they're taking on a red-hot Texans team. But this will be a big test for the Texans, and this is going to be one of those games for the Bengals. From the experts' side of things, this should be a game that they win handily and cover that 7 spread easily. But we'll see. We will see. I'm staying away from this one. Just because this has all the, I mean, maybe teasing this up to, if you can get the 7 and tease it up to 14 and a half, 14 minus plus 14 for the Texans. I think that might actually be a viable alternative, because this could easily be like a 10-point loss for the Texans or a 13-point loss. So, Saints Vikings, again, I try and stay away from these Saints games, man, because you just don't know what team's going to show up. You just really don't. And you don't know what Vikings team is going to show up. So, the total is sitting at 41. And a good amount of the bets are coming in on that under. And that might be something I look at. But other than that, I don't know. I don't trust either of these teams, really. It is fun to root for the Vikings, especially after that win last week. But, yeah, this is a weird one. This is a weird one at that 2.5, and it hasn't really moved at all. Oh, wait, did the Saints open as underdogs? Really? That's bizarre. Packers-Steelers, I would take the Steelers all the way, as you could see by the number, the percentage of the bets. -3 is just a, in my opinion, I feel like it's basically a money line play, and you're getting -12 as opposed to -166. This is a line I would take, honestly, because I'm just, outside of the Packers defense, I'm just not impressed by the Packers at all. And even the Packers defense isn't that great. And, I would lean on that -3. The under is low again at under 38.5. But again, that the unders have been pretty good this year. And it being Steelers football, it could be one of those low-scoring affairs. Falcons-Cardinals, I just do not care about this game at all. Under 44 seems very generous. The only reason that I think that's the total is that high is because of how many points the Falcons scored against the Vikings and how terrible the Cardinals look against the Browns. So, I don't know. I may leave it alone and just not bet this game at all. But if I were to think about it, it would be the under. Lions-Chargers, I'm taking the Chargers, man. I don't care what anybody says. To me, the Lions died to me against Baltimore, and I don't care. I'm going against the grain. I'm not buying into the 96%. I'm not buying into the 88%. Having the Chargers as underdogs, I would take it on the money line. I wouldn't even take the +3. As a teaser, I definitely would take the +3 and move the 10, +10. But as a straight bet, I would definitely take the money line on the Chargers. I don't think they lose to the Lions at all. The Lions just put CJ Gardner Johnson on injured reserve. They're a defense that's only getting weaker. I don't care how well they play together as a unit. I'm just saying. It's just my gut feel. It's just my gut reaction to this whole thing. Cowboys-Giants, man. Earlier, yesterday, this was at 15.5. Now it's up to 16.5. I'm telling you right now, this would probably be another teaser. If the Cowboys don't win by double digits, the team is a fraud. The team is a fraud. That's all that you got to know. And there's definitely something wrong with the NFL. But the Cowboys should definitely win this handily. I mean, look at that money line, -1100. That's like college football, like levels right there. Like, that's insane. Yeah. Cowboys, tease it. If you can get the 15.5, I would even look at that. Especially if Dak continues to play the way he's been playing, sans the final drive of that Philadelphia game in the red zone. I mean, what was it? Including Sunday. I think it was including Sunday. He's thrown 8 touchdowns to 1 interception. I think that was it. It was either going into that game or after that game, like when the recap. He's been playing very well. And, yeah. Commanders Seahawks again. The Commanders are going to Seattle, and I know they looked terrible against the Ravens, but this is not a Ravens defense and the Commanders here. And you can take the -6 if you want. I actually don't. I don't even know if I'm gonna even take this game at all. I may just stay away from it, because this has all the markings of a trap. No matter, like, it's one of those games where no matter where you bet, you're gonna lose. One of those deals. That's how I feel about it. Like, I feel like if whatever bet I place on that game, the opposite's gonna happen. So and when I have that feeling, I'm not gonna touch it. Yeah. A lot of people like the over 45.5, which is interesting. And then finally, oh no, not finally. And our continuation of some of the worst games on primetime this year. We have the Jets and the Raiders. The Sadness Bowl is what I'd like to call it. Actually, that could have been the Raiders and Giants, but the Raiders whooped the Giants. So, yeah. Under 36. Oof. That is a low number. That is a very low number. As good as that Jets defense is, though, I can see it. And so does 97% of the bets. Probably not going to touch this one at all. Even though the Jets are favored by 1. Let's see. Broncos-Bills, finally, Monday Night Football. I mean, I just don't trust this Broncos team. And I don't trust the Bills team, man. I really don't. I don't like either of these teams. I will stay away from this one, man. I mean, if the total stays at 47, maybe I'll take the under. I mean, a lot of people are taking that under. So, yeah, that's what we're looking at so far this week. And those are my first looks. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Let me know what bets you're tracking, tailing, or that you've already placed. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe on the way out, and I will see you all tomorrow. Take care.